Hello everyone, my name is Loco and welcome to another Heroes of the Storm guide. Today I'm going to be covering Gazlowe, one of my favorite specialist heroes in the game for sure. I think actually he's at the moment definitely my favorite hero. As far as specialist heroes go, he is actually a ton of fun to play, but when I first loaded it up, I had absolutely no clue what the hell I was doing. So I've been playing quite a bunch of games with him so far, and I've been having actually a lot of fun with him. Now, I came down to this build after playing it, I think for about 10 or so games, and it's basically the Mercenary Lord Gazlowe build. Basically what this build is all about is killing the mercenary camps that are all over the map. And Gazlowe is one of the few heroes that can actually quite easily solo every single camp, including the boss camps. He has absolutely no problems with those from like level 10 you can really already solo them, but you can quite easily solo them at like level 12 and 13. And I'm gonna go over that all in this video. Now before I will jump into the actual talent selection, let's have a quick look at the basic abilities, as well as the heroic ability, as well as the trait, and after that we're gonna take a look at the talents. So the very first ability is the most key one, I suppose, for Gazlowe, and it's the rocket turret. And basically what happens is you put down a little turret on the ground that deals a lot of damage in the circle, and you can actually salvage it using your trait. So simply what you do is you hit the buttons for the trait, and then you click on the turret and you get a little bit of stuff in return. Now your W ability is a death laser, and this is just a big ass laser that charges up and actually gets wider, stronger, and it actually reaches more targets the longer you charge this one up. So this is usually very good in like team fights, but it also comes into play when you're trying to solo creep camps. And then your E ability is an explodium charge, which is a timed bomb. It's actually on a 5-second counter that deals a bunch of damage to that area. Those are the basic abilities that Gazlowe has. Now, notice that with those, there's really no ability at all that allows you to escape. So if you are in trouble with Gazlowe, it is extremely difficult to escape because, well, no enemy is really going to stand in a 5-second charger. They're not really, or a 5-second countdown. No one is really gonna stand in this death laser charge, and the rocket turret is great, but they can just walk out of it, right? So one-on-one, this hero is not very amazing, so you gotta keep that one in mind. You don't really have any way to escape, and that is also not really the strength of Gazlowe. In this build, like I said, we're gonna be focusing on the mercenaries. Now for this build, the heroic ability that you're going to be taking is Robo Goblin, transform to deal increased siege damage and gains reduction to ground control effects. And it is actually very, very useful when you are indeed going up against these camps, because obviously, you're just a bunch tankier and you deal a little bit of damage. The easy camps you can solo right between like level 3 and 4 with ease. The only thing you really need to worry about is that there's still someone in the lane soaking up XP, because obviously if there's no one in the lane and your opponent is having that lane, you're gonna lose out on quite a bunch. In general, whenever you try to take down a creep camp, always make sure you put down the turrets first, then throw your E on them with the 5-second cooldown, right followed up by the death laser that you let charge up so that everything gets hit, and after that you simply auto attack. Now Gazlowe's auto attack is actually extremely strong. He's one of the harder hitting auto attackers in the game, and a lot of people seem to overlook that because you're so busy putting down all these turrets and salvaging them and whatnot, but his auto attack actually deals a ton of damage. Easy camps right between level 3 to 4 should not be a problem anymore. The hard camps are done the exact same way, and you could actually solo those right between like level 7 and 8. However, I seem to be waiting quite a while longer until like level 10 where I get my heroic ability, just because it goes so much quicker. Even though you can solo them at a lower level, it is not always worth it if you're gonna be out of the battle for like 2 minutes taking down a little creep camp, right? So, you can solo them relatively easily. Make sure, I would say that you're right around level 10 and just nuke them down the exact same way as you did the easy camps. First the turrets down, and then throw your bomb, and then charge up your death laser. Now a nice little tip that I suppose I can give you is that you always need to be killing the caster first, because he deals a bunch more damage. Now if you are a much higher level than you need for this camp, that is obviously also not really necessary. But if you're gonna be taking it out right around rank 8 or so, you definitely need to be doing that. Last but not least, actually killing the bosses. This is one of the few heroes that can actually solo bosses, and you can solo them all the way down from level 10. Like in level 10 you can already go up to the boss and actually kill it. Now you need to be microing pretty hard right there though, not gonna lie. Because simply speaking, while your turrets are needing to tank some damage and you actually need to salvage them, you need to kill them in time, but it is possible. I would, however, wait a little bit longer until you're right around level 12 to 13, because at that point it becomes a lot easier. Now basically how the boss AI works, it will attack whatever is shooting at it from the closest distance. So let's say there's a turret right next to him, he will be attacking the turret. However, if you are between the turret and the boss, he will actually target you first. And it needs a little bit of getting used to, but after a couple of games, I'm sure you can get the hang of this. Now let's have a look at the talent selection for this build. First off, I would go with Scrap-O-Matic Smelter. The trait increases the amount of mana restored by scrap to 60. This allows you to be quite a bunch more aggressive in the early part of the game, because most of the time Gaslow is soloing a lane at the beginning of the game. And, you know, it just allows you to actually have mana when you are starting to solo your creep camps. So I would go with Scrap-O-Matic Smelter, which just gives you a bunch of mana extra in return. Now with that, at level 4, the Reduce, Reuse, Recycle trait passive ability is also just too good. This allows enemy minions to die near you to have a 50% chance to also drop scrap. And especially later on in the game, this is actually a very, very big one, because you can just nuke down all the minions very, very quickly. So if you're gonna go with the very first talent called Scrap-O-Matic Smelter, definitely also go with Reduce, Reuse, and Recycle. Now next up, the talent that this build is actually all about, the Mercenary Lord. Mercenary camps you capture gain the following bonuses. Now for whatever reason, they don't show up right here, but basically how it works is that the Siege Giants increase damage by about 50% and the Knights gain 50% extra health. So it is definitely a very, very useful talent. Now if you don't really want to be playing this build and you want to be playing it to your own style, another very, very good ability is the Rocket Turret XL. You know, just because you can deal some extra damage with them, and if you're gonna be focusing a lot on the turrets, this one is great. But really, any of them is viable at this level, but I would go with the Mercenary Lord if you're going to be jungling as much as I do. At level 10, like we discussed, we go for the Robo Goblin simply because it makes soloing the camps easier, and you're also a lot more tanky when you're actually fighting later on in the game with the big team fights, so Robo Goblin definitely the way to go. At level 13, you really have two very strong options right here. I would either go with Burning Rage or Quick Release Charge. Quick Release Charge allows you to get, you know, another bomb. And the other bomb is very, very useful, both when soloing, but especially in team fights. However, Burning Rage is also just extremely good. Deal 10 damage per second to nearby enemies, so literally everything around you is taking a bunch of damage. Burning Rage is a little bit more useful if you are playing on a map that requires you to kill more creep waves, whereas Quick Release is more useful if you're going to be playing more team-based battles and like big-ass team fights. Either way, both of them are a good choice right here. Honestly though, at level 13, you shouldn't have much issues anyway soloing any creep camps. At level 16, you also have two choices. I would either go with the long-range turrets, which increases the turret range by 25%, or I would go with turret storage, which, you know, allows the maximum turret charges to be increased by 2, which actually allows you to get up to 4 charges. Now, I would most of the time go with turret storage, but this once again comes down to your playstyle. I just like having a ton of turrets out because their DPS is absolutely insane. And at level 20, if you're gonna go with your level 10 talent for the Robo guy, what's it even called? The Robo Goblin right there. You should be going for the Mega Lord as well. Basic attacks deal an additional 130% damage to heroes and increase duration of the Robo Goblin by a little bit. I don't know exactly how long, but the Mega Lord is definitely the talent to go when you are going for the Robo Goblin. All in all, this build is a ton of fun to play, so I'm very curious what you thought of it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. If you would like to see more, make sure you let me know with a comment right below that like button. And if you want to see more, make sure to sub, because, you know, you will be the very first one to get a notification when I upload another video. I want to thank you guys all for watching. Have an amazing day, do not forget to smile, and I will see you in the next one.